too. I learned a lot of things. I've been doing me, I've been doing okay. Come fuck with me, be my Beyonce. Know you love me, but girl, you're crazy. She's so great.
The house, when Danny leaves the house, I didn't know, but he set it up for Bobby. Danny leaves the house, and I let him out the front door. I had a plate in my hand. And this guy hovered over me and a gun in my face. And my reaction was to hit me in the face. I broke this plate. It was an unbreakable plate. One of those plates you can't break. And I broke it, like just cracking this thing breaks. It comes like honestly. This scar right here in my head is he took that 45 caliber and jammed it. Like I don't mean jammed it, I mean cracked it right here in the forehead. My life changes now. I'm getting ready to get cracked so many times here. I'm getting ready to get the lesson of my life of where I'm really living. I already knew it, but this was the exclamation mark on where my life is going. Good kid. This far from he hits me here. He cracks me over both my eyes here, underneath these two eyes. What's the word? Incapacitates both my arms. Incapacitates both my arms because he takes and chops them both behind the elbow, so you can't use your arms. So I'm walking around. I can't move my arms. Blood's coming down. Every wall in this apartment, in this room, and the ceiling is blood. They ransacked the house, robbed me of a little bit of money, and literally leave me on the floor for a day. My dog's in the back. My dog's locked up in the back of the building. They set it up to do this. This is what happens when you hang with bad people. Sooner or later, they's going to come and you're going to pay the price. I get rushed to the hospital. My girlfriend's there. She's in the back. She comes out, gets me to the hospital. I spend 3 days in the hospital. Actually, I go to the hospital. They put in 70 stitches in my head and face. Like my whole face is just carved up. The sheriff's department comes because they know something bad's happening. And I'm like, I'm fine, I can go home. They stitch me up. I go home to my mother. I walk into my mother's house on the little brick house that I was in so much. And I walk to the house and I go to the house in the back door. I knock on the back door. I'm beat up. Face is swollen. My mom comes to the door and she's like, what? Where's my son at? Where's my son at? I'm like, Mom, I am your son. Where is my son? Nobody could recognize who I was. That's how beat up I was. I go in the house. I try to lay down. She puts me in, on the couch, and I try to lay down there. And the hospital doesn't want me to go to sleep because I can really die. So they bring me back to the hospital. I spend 3 days in the hospital, and I'm like, I'm done. No more drugs. Okay, literally, I can't even recognize myself anymore. No more drugs. I'm done using drugs. Okay, guess what happens? I'm using drugs for 10 times a day. So you would think, looking back, I would think this would be the day. In 2 more years, I would use drugs. Couldn't get out. But nobody starts using drugs and thinks they're going to be a drug addict. I did. I started using drugs, and for some reason, something happened where those drugs just took over. My mom, at the age of 25, my mom says to me, "You no longer welcome in my home. You no longer welcome in my business." I don't see it. Yeah. That was the day of my life. So 24 hours later, I was in prison. Because my mom had the courage to say, enough is enough. Really, everybody was pretty much done with me at this point. My older brother died when I was 20. So 3 years, well, I guess, 5 years before this, my older brother died. He was worried about me. All I know at this point, I lost my dad when I was 10, I lost my brother when I was 20, I lost, I gave up my career and maybe I'm gonna be a baseball player to drugs. I've lost 5 or 6 jobs now. I'm a loser. I'm a total loser. But I do have this little light inside of me that says I'm special. I have this little thing inside of me that says, hey, you are special. You have something. But it was just covered up in all this stuff and all these problems and the drugs and the bad friends and the bad choices. So my mom finally says, enough is enough. Don't come back here anymore. I'm done. I can tell it was hard for her. I'm in a treatment center in the next 24 hours. I go to this treatment center. I'm there 30 days. For the first 30 days, it's 7, 8, 9 years. I don't have to use drugs. Finally, that thing where I said I was quitting 10 times a day, I was quitting 10 times a day. For the first time in my life, I was able to quit successfully. I'm leaving the treatment center when the insurance ran out, because that's how those work. When the money runs out, they boot you to the curb. I'm terrified, scared to go back to society. I don't have any friends that aren't using drugs. My girlfriend was using drugs. Everybody around me, everybody I knew used drugs. And I'm going back to a job where even at the job I had, they used drugs. And I'm like, I'm going back to an environment. I have to cut off all my friends, not really friends. I got to cut off all the enemies, right? And I got to start over. And before I leave, the counselor grabs me, and the counselor says to me, look, dude, I'll see you back here. Probably, if you don't die, I'll see you back here. And I'm like, I'm not coming back here. And he's like, oh no, you're coming back. And then he gives me the lecture. He's like, we'll never make it. So when you go to a treatment center, you tell them everything, like all your secrets, all your inhibitions, and your things you want to do, right? And so I'm telling them in this thing, everything I've done wrong, I share my whole life, but I also share with them what I want to do, my inspiration. I'm going to write books, I'm going to speak to audiences, I'm going to help people, I'm going to tell people the story about drugs and how damaging they are. And I'm going to be somebody. I tell them, and they're like, you're a drug addict. And all you're ever going to be is what the counselor does. All you're ever going to do is be drug addict. You need to give up all the ideas and writing books, speak to the audiences, being rich. I always wanted to be rich. I wanted financially to be rich. I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to be the guy that could take care of this. He said, you need to give up all those ideas and settle for things. Not use the drugs. If the day ends and you don't use drugs, Grant, that is a good day for you.
Pretty much for you artists that's out here to think you have to do drugs and stuff to make music. You absolutely do not. Now, I will say it can boost sometimes when you're making music, right? Me personally, I never did drugs or anything like that. Allegedly, I smoked. That's literally about it. I'm just cool. It helps me with a lot of stuff. I have anxiety, so it be straight. There's nothing serious like that. And plus, I'll be active and stuff, so that make me sleepy or anything like that. And I'm cool. But for you that's doing all these pills and all these hard drugs and stuff like that, but stop that. Seriously. Done. All right, so that's pretty much what this is. I know it's artists that be depressed, real stuff. Like I know some of y'all be depressed, you don't feel like doing anything, et cetera, et cetera. It's because of what you're doing. Watch what you put in your body, what you do to your body. Make sure you're working out, et cetera, et cetera. Stay healthy. It's all about staying healthy. That's all it's about. So this is pretty much just a awareness video reaction that I wanted to do to bring Cardone. All right. So make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. What's up, people?